Hello, good afternoon. It is Tuesday, the 21st of November of this nightmare.
This nightmare continues.
It's day 3.
Yeah. Day 3.
Well, it's not as it's like day 5, I suppose. It's working day 3 for us. But yeah, it is day 5 of what is a little bit of a nightmare. But we'll obviously and undoubtedly come on to it. This is like a special. You're getting specials here because of the scenario. We'd normally just be live on Premiere today, but you know, we are aware this is the hot topic at the moment, and a lot of people wanna have their say. Make sure you like and subscribe while you are here. But hello. The 1878s have unveiled some banners. Obviously, there was a GoFundMe page set up and got crazy amounts of donations to it. They've unveiled some banners. What's your take on what you've seen so far? I know that they were asked, and rightly so, to stay away from like using profanity on the banners and stuff, because they're never going to be shown, no matter what. No one's ever going to show them, so it would have been a waste of people's money.
Well, here's the first one here.
So there's big Dicey going full Richarlison with flares, with Dogs of War.
Yeah, big Dicey.
The second one,
that's a corker,
if you've got that.
These are the banners, obviously the big banners that are going to go across.
And obviously that's part of our song. And that is obviously a very, very good one. Where there is power, greed and money, there is corruption. And to be fair, this is something I've said for a while. When people try to say you are like a sensation, and well, not that, but conspiracy theory, that people are like looked after, and what have you. I've said this loads of times. It's a multi-billion-pound industry. There will, of course, there'll be things where they'll want a direct results to it, or it feels like that anyway. And there's another one where Everton forever. We shall not be moved again. Part of Everton's song. So they're the 4 banners that have been revealed. Another thing that has caused a little bit. I've seen this on X, as it's called, Twitter, social media. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but there's a plane flying a banner. And they were asked about the Everton United game. It'll be dark, they've said, and they're right. So it's a waste of money. You wouldn't see anything.
It's just science.
It is actual science. Yeah. So that plane will fly over the Etihad on Saturday. I mean, it's quite ironic in a sense that it'll be flying over Manchester City's ground. Who were waiting. Is anyone really going to pick it up? I don't know. At a game that doesn't involve Everton. It might. I'm sure someone will take a picture and it'll be out there.
The media will take a picture. That's what it's for, isn't it? It's for the media rather than anything else. Yeah. I think it's a clever idea. As you said, will it be picked up? Well, if you let the media know it's coming, then I'm sure the media will look for it. So I understand the reasoning behind it. So fair play. But also in our game as well, there's the placards, isn't it, or the cardboard that you'll be able to pick up to hold up before the game. And I think on the 10th minute, so everyone's got an opportunity to do that as well, and hopefully people do. And there's a lot of money and a lot of time's gone into this. So I think it's basically our duty as fans to do it and make sure we pick one up and take them in, and make sure they don't get destroyed on the way in, or if you pick one up and you go for your pint, you don't just drop it on the floor and that, you know what I mean? Because this is important. This is the future of our football club we're talking about here. And the more I hear about it, the actually angrier I get. I honestly, it's taken me days to process this, really has, because. And the more I hear about it and the more I hear different people talk about it, whether it be for us or against us, it just makes me more angry and angry. It is the most ridiculous jumped up charge I've ever heard in my life. 10 points. I was listening to them on the way in. I was listening to Gary Lineker's podcast, and they had an expert on. No, he's an expert. And it was, he was telling them why it happened, So he was saying, well, this was brought in because Premier League and seen what happened to Portsmouth, and they want everyone to be sustainable. And he was talking about Gretna, and he was saying how Gretna, the owner died, and remember, they had loads of money, and the owner died, and the next minute they've got no money, so they're not sustainable, and this is to save football clubs, to make sure they don't go bust. It was Nick Harris, it was Sporting Intelligence on the Rest is Football podcast. And I'm sitting there and I'm like listening to it. I'm just thinking, so once again, just to process this in my own head, we have something brought in by the Premier League to stop football clubs going bust and spending above what they spend. And yet the penalty for that is more than going into administration, which is essentially going bust. And also, by getting 10 points, we'll have dropped multiple places, and that's 2 million per place. So that's money it's costing. So it's double jeopardy. Yeah. And it's just, the whole thing is just nonsense. It is just absolute nonsense. And I might be repeating myself or not, because I haven't really sat here for that way. So
back at the top table.
I am back at the
where you deserve to be.
Where I deserve to, apparently. Ned's not in. Ned's not here.
I mean, I'll be honest. You were still on the show,
I know.
weren't you? But it's better seeing you there. Go on.
Ned's not here. He's on holiday. Yeah. But the more I listen to all this, and the more the rationale behind it is, this knock-on effect of 10 points. Sorry, the places, the clubs being into sewers. It's just nonsense. You are pushing a club. You are pushing a club into the abyss for not basically showing ambition, but doing the things you've asked them to do, which has become self-sustainable. And the way we wanted to become self-sustainable was by building a stadium. And I was listening to the reason, like the factors you factored into it, like of what you can, the good spend. And it's like, surely anything attached to a new stadium is good spend. Okay, if there's interest on it, then that happens. But it's part of good spend. We are trying to build a stadium to get ourselves into a situation where we can become compliant. Now, that takes money up front. That takes money. It'll be done different. Clubs do it differently. Spurs got a loan, and we'd love to have got a loan, but we couldn't because of what happened with a war and COVID. And the more I think about it, the more I just think this is mad. And the more I think about it, and I was listening as well, the guy was talking about Man City and why that hasn't been brought up again, or brought in yet, even though it's taken 4 years and they've been charged. Man City are basically running rings around them, making Man City I don't believe it's legal what the Premier League are doing.
I don't believe it,
and I'm stopping them from doing it, and they're also questioning the legitimacy of all of it. And it's just like, we've gone in like we always do, like, oh, we are gov, it's a fair cop, thinking we'd get some kind of leniency for it, and we haven't. And it's
I've said this before, like, and I don't know whether you agree or disagree, but I have said for a while, I'm not convinced how they have these rules are legal. I have said this. I've said it. It can't be that it's the only industry in the world where the owner of the thing can't put money in to make that business better. Well, it's not, I understand.
It's not because you do have like the NFL, and you do have sports in America where you have
slightly
wage caps and stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
No, I know.
But I'm talking about running the business. This has got nothing. And even in Mike Gow put it up yesterday, like an actual part of their rules. None of it's to do with sporting thing. It's to do with whether or not you keep the business going. So what I'm saying is, I'm not advocating Man City are allowed to spend £1 billion a summer. I'm not advocating that whatsoever. But I am advocating the fact that you've got a owner who wants to keep the business sustainable. They're building a stadium, which, again, we keep saying, Everton, if they'd have gone to a bank and saddled the club with 10-15% interest each year, this wouldn't have been an issue. Everton wouldn't have failed. So because Everton have tried to build it themselves, and obviously that incurs costs, so they're trying to cover the cost themselves, they've been punished for it. Yeah. So the owner at any stage has wanted to top that money up, and you can't over a certain amount, and that certain amount isn't a lot of money, by the way. And I absolutely believe that there's got to be some kind of wage cap or something like that to help football, to sustain football. It's going one way, and it's becoming almost pointless.
Well, when you talk about it...
At the top level.
But when you talk about it in the way it... You're talking about a set of rules have been brought in, okay, to stop clubs going bust. Okay, we all get that, I think. But the same rules are... So the same rules are supposed to be stopping, therefore stop the teams at the top who are trying to move on. Okay, there's a legitimacy to that, because Manchester City would be allowed to spend what they want, and Newcastle will be able to spend what they want. So, fair enough, I get that, but it just, again, we've said this loads of times, and maybe we're talking too late because it's happened to us, but it just feels like you're stopping teams from not competing, just existing. Like,
it's getting even worse than just competing.
The idea of actually trying to compete feels like it's gone, because you have to be owned by, a country. So the idea of feeling like you can do that, just to exist. What we're saying what the Premier League is saying is, you're in the Premier League. What are your problems? What are you complaining about? Like the guy was almost like, the Premier League worked with Everton, and he basically told Everton what to do, and then Everton just decided they wanted to do, just kept on spending. Well, I don't agree with that. No. I don't agree with that. I don't agree. I don't. If you're in a competition, if you sell your left back and go and buy a left back and a right back because that's what you need, because you haven't got those things, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to say? Well, I don't like the left back, so I'm going to sell him. But but because of the Premier League, we're not going to have a left back and we're not going to have a right back. I don't get that at all. I don't get how that can be construed as fair. Like, you need footballers to play football.
Yeah,
you have to have footballers to play football. It's not we dropped out of going in one market. James Rodriguez, £200,000 a week. Now, maybe we should never have entertained that in the first place. But we dropped out that market and suddenly started working in a market where the players are a lot cheaper, the wages are a lot cheaper. So to me, I think that demonstrates what we were trying to do and where we were trying to go. And every time we got a player who was we got to a limit where we were like, right, someone will buy him, we practically sold them for the most part. And I just find the whole thing crazy. I just find absolutely crazy that 10 points is it's just nonsense. And it's winding me up the more I think about it. Is this the worst thing any team has ever done in the Premier League? Well, the answer to that is no. The answer to that is simply no. And it, for them to put us in this position, and I think you only have to listen to football. You only have to listen to most people to understand that everyone thinks this is wrong. And the idea of where they got those 10 points from is just mental. They've just plucked it out the sky, because apparently they weren't listening to what the Premier League wanted, and yet they've got what the Premier League wanted, which was 6 points plus 1 per 5 million you've gone over, so they've got to the magic 10. Well, that's on the Premier League. People can go, well, it's an independent commission. The Premier League wanted 12 points. They wanted 12
they
points.
They picked
the punishment, and the punishment has been handed out, and that to me is unforgivable. They shouldn't have been asking for anything. It should have been, here's the things you can have. All these options are open to you. No, we want 12 points and we're telling the world we want 12 points because that's what they did, delete it to everyone.
Absolutely.
This thing from beginning to end has just felt like a sideshow. A sideshow for the Premier League to tell everybody that obviously we don't want independent regulators, and we don't want, and we're going to come, and just you wait to see what Manchester City get and all this. It just feels like a complete sideshow, and we're the victims of it. And of course, yeah, we got ourselves in this mess, and I don't forgive any of those people. They caused it. The people on the board, they caused it. Our former chairman, he caused it. Our current owner, hopefully soon to be former owner, caused all this with years and years of neglect. We should have had a stadium 20 years ago, which would have put us in a situation where we would be. We mightn't be the elite. I don't know. Who knows?
But we would have had a great chance.
But we would have had a great chance
because other teams didn't have it at that time.
That's what drives me mad.
Well, what's made Spurs? That's what's propelled Tottenham on again. The stadium propelled that, even though Arsenal were side, but the stadium propelled them. Everyone's propelled by that because it gives you more revenue. And
it's something I've been saying for a very long time, is that, you know, it's all right patting people on the back for building a new stadium, and it will be magnificent. But this should have happened 20 odd years ago, and people couldn't get out their own way. Egos couldn't get out their own way to stop other people maybe investing in the club who had the money to get us that new stadium. And it has to be said. It has to be said. These people, in my view, everything we've fought against in this last year has been proved right, and every single person who stood in the way of that progress, telling us how good people they were. I'm sorry, I personally, this is just my personal feeling, I can't have that. And that's all of them, by the way. That includes Graham Sharp, in my personal opinion. The man had a chance to step down and he didn't. Grant Ingles, wow. What a massive shithouse he turned out to be. Not only was he awful at accounting, but he could have resigned if he felt like something was wrong. And he didn't. And now he doesn't provide evidence. You know, Denise Barrett-Baxendale go down as the CEO, who may have sunk Everton because of her ineptness. And that's just the way it is. You know, we have to point out these things because these are the people who got us here. No matter what this commission dished out, these are the people who got us to this situation. Got us to a situation where we needed to be put in special measures, and we were spending more than, you know, where were the adults? Where were the adults? This is what we've been saying for years. Where were the adults? And then people go, oh yeah, but Bashiri was a madman. Why didn't you just resign then? Why didn't you just resign? Come on, you know, go on Sky Sports and tell the world. Or why did Denise Barrett-Baxendale have a go at Jamie Carragher when he called the club out for being the worst club in the country? Why did she get on the phone to him? He's publicly said it. She rung him up and said, how dare you say those things about our football club? Are you messing? Are you messing? You know, when we went up against the Six, when we came out and it was all, we've got the best board in the country. Jesus Christ. They put us in this situation. Sadly, the Premier League have decided to throw the entire weight against us. So,
well, we've got to just fight this, haven't we?
Yeah. Of course we have.
That's what we're trying to do, and that's what the football club's trying to do. But it is scandalous that the people who put us in, you know, Chelsea have washed their hands despite all of the stuff they've owned up to. They've gone, well, none of them people are here now. So, you know, Everton could turn around and say the same, couldn't they? Everton could turn around and go, well, you know what? The people who were are responsible for this, none of them are here. But it is what it is, and it is kick Everton each day at the moment. You know, stories come out, oh, there's more stuff could happen and all that. Well, people have took that and ran with it, but the reality of that is that's just a rule and that's there anyway. Yeah. Everyone looks at it, so of course Everton will be looked at. But the Premier League, I can tell you this now, the Premier League ain't going to want this rearing its head again next season. There's not a chance, and people can read into that whatever they want. But this won't be happening again next season for Everton. So that story's a non-entity. Someone asked us before about lads, what do you make about it was Kadeem, what do you make about the other clubs wanting compensation? Where's your take on that, Ped?
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I can understand. I can understand the likes of, like, say, Leeds wanting a couple of million quid. I get that. Or whoever else would knock down a place in the table. I get that. Fully get that. Well, Leeds twice, wouldn't it be? Would it be Leeds twice?
No, they've done the thing, and it's like
No, be Leeds twice though, wouldn't it?
If they like lost us like 4 million.
They lost the place, didn't they? They lost like 4 million quid. Leicester and Burnley, I don't know. I really don't know how you.
Burnley if they're not really that interested.
No, but I don't know how you come up with the figure. I don't know. Do you come up with the figure that we've relegated them and therefore we owe them a whole year of? How'd you come to that figure? Because it's the same way that we've come to our figures, and our figures have been dismissed. It's the same way we've presented figures and said, see, all this money that we would have had, all these players that we could have sold during COVID, and they've gone, no, that's all speculative.
See, the reality of it is, them teams were just absolutely crap, which is why they went down, because they finished below Everton. They were absolutely crap. So there's not. I think I've heard about 4 different legal people saying it's not really going to go anywhere because you can't prove it. That's the problem. You can't prove it. Leicester can't say, well, if Everton wouldn't have done that by building that stadium, we'd have stayed up, because the reality is they didn't. And it's hard to prove it. Leicester, I think they've said, haven't they, Leicester are the only real genuine ones with a case. But it is so difficult to prove that it probably won't go anywhere. So...
No, I'll be honest, it's not the thing
No.
It's not... I'm not massively worried about it right now, because I think there's other things we clearly have to sort out first. But it's a distraction, and it gives newspapers another headline. The same way when we talk about the following year is going to be looked at. Well, yeah, it will be looked at, but Everton have worked hard to bring down the wages. They've got players off the books. They've sold players, and that'll all be factored in. And Everton will hope that they've managed to get them down and prove that they've got them down. And we made losses, but we can put stuff against that. And let's just deal with what we've got to deal with right now, and fight this and fight the appeal.
Sam's just said, I just listened to that podcast, and I think he didn't really talk about the ins and outs of the situation. He just kept saying we didn't listen to the Prem and kept on spending. He's no expert to me.
Shay on the super chat says, what is going on in the 10th minute? In the 10th minute, you will be asked to hold up the cards to the whole ground. Whole ground just has these cards. So that's what's going to go on in the 10th minute. No, I mean, all these stories, and obviously we've got certain newspapers which people should just not click on any of the links, and should just like boycott those newspapers full stop.
Just block them.
Pushing all the stories, because there is a lot of fallout, and because we are the first one, nobody actually knows what's possible. The commission have said that teams can apply for compensation because of what's happened. So we'll see what happens from that. But like you just said, and this is the thing now, and I seen David Ornstein and Miguel Delaney last night on Sky doing the press thing, and they were just like, this is going to get ridiculous. This is going to end up with football matches being decided by the courts. That's where it's heading. This is the Pandora's box has been opened now.
Yeah.
Because in my eyes, if Everton have cheated, then everyone should be able to sue us. If we beat you in a match in those years, come and sue us. Because that's how nonsense it is. We stopped Arsenal from winning the league last season. Come and sue us. Might as well be everybody, because it's nonsense. Because how does sport become business? Manchester City, I imagine, will be like, see this here. This is our tax return with the government in this country, and what it says is we're legal, we're compliant, we run really well as a business. So how can this from the Premier League say something completely different? And that's probably the line they're going down. It's like, what have we done wrong? You know what I mean? It's like, as a football clubs have suddenly, because of a couple of dickheads who run Portsmouth and a couple of other clubs, have suddenly been told, because Platini came out and said, I want to stop the dominance of Premier League football clubs, that I'm going to put a stop to people being able to spend money. It's become ludicrous because it doesn't work, and that's the bottom of it. I am 100% in favour of a fairer playing field, but it doesn't work like this. It only works with a salary cap. That's the only way it works, so that we all go, we've all got X amount of millions to spend in a year, and that's it. Because then that's fair. No, well, Liverpool can spend, or Manchester United can spend $1 billion. Why can they spend $1 billion? Well, they brought $1 billion in because people like buying Manchester United t-shirts. People don't like buying Everton t-shirts.
Or Villa,
or Manchester United. Manchester United can fill a 90,000. Well, we haven't got a 90,000 because you're not letting us build a ground because you're saying we haven't got the money to build us. It just doesn't make any sense. There has to be a fairer set of rules that works for everybody, and we've discussed this loads of times. And I think the more people need to start looking at it, the more. The simple fact is, if the game doesn't change soon, countries are just going to come into the game. They're already here, obviously, and they're just going to start the game's just going to run away unless we get something that actually works for everybody. And Man City, one of the charges is that they had 2 contracts for Roberto Mancini. Yeah. One was a legal contract and one was an offshore contract. So stuff like that,
Chelsea did it.
Stuff like that, you're bound to rights. But like
Chelsea,
that shows
all
that if
kinds of money.
Yeah, but that shows if we had a wage cap, that stuff would still be in there because that's obviously really bad. That's trying to hide what you're doing. And that would still be in there if you had the wage cap because it would work. You can't have a bench full of amazing footballers because you can't afford it. Yeah. So one of those has to come. And we've said this loads of times. One of those fellas who sits on your bench suddenly becomes Aston Villa's highest player, and he makes Villa better. And one of them becomes who's not as good becomes Everton's best player, and he earns the money he deserves to win. And that's how, for me, football should be. And it's not quite like an NFL thing, but it's definitely not what we've got now. Because what we've got now is not sustainable. It just isn't sustainable. And then when you hear, like this morning, the stuff coming out about Newcastle, we already knew this. We already knew, there's the government basically saying, yeah, we'll sort out our relationships with Saudi Arabia so that can be pushed through and all this. It's like the game is so rigged now. It's so rigged. Everything goes against the sporting nature of it. The big clubs have everything now
in their favour.
In their favour. They have the best players. They have Spanish women.
There you go, Spanish.
They have everything in their favour now. They have, you look at like a Merseyside derby and you go, there's no way this game can be won other than who is the best team. And I know that sounds stupid, but that's not how football has ever worked. It's like,
if you take away the dreams of people,
yeah,
it just becomes boring, doesn't it? It just becomes a thing where you go.
And then there's a meeting today where
they're going to get more.
They're going to get more. The 6 are going to get more. The establishment is going to be even more. So what you've done is you've created a scenario where the 14 are telling the 6, we can't live without you. So therefore you're putting them on the pedestal again. And where will that ever lead? It will lead to the same place. It will lead to the 6 going, sound, we'll go and have a Super League then. Whatever happens, it's demoralising. It really is. It's demoralising because it's just, it'll never obviously go back to what it was, whatever that was. But it's heading in the wrong direction. It really is. It really is. And it's sad because a lot of people say it now. You look at football and you just go, what's the point? What's the point in getting upset about it? What's the point in getting happy about it?
You want a dream. That's what it's for.
Of course you do.
You want a dream, and it shouldn't come down to clubs being wealthier than, like, crazy wealthier than other stuff. Not even just like a little bit, and you go, well, we can bridge that by doing things right and all that. Just crazy money. We've said it before about this city. We share this city with one of the most famous clubs in the world. Their wage bill is more than double our turnover. they play in the same league, the same competition. They're from the same city. It's not like we're in League One and they're in the Premier League and you go, well, they're in the top league. Yeah. They play in the same division as us. And yet we can't get near them. Don't get me wrong.
They've earned it right.
They've earned it right. That, but if you allow, and Liverpool can look at Man City and go, well, we're much more famous than what you are and we've been more successful and everything else. And yet you've just got more money than we have. How can we compete? And then it just tails down, doesn't it? It just filters down. And you should always have a league. And this is where I won't always agree with like American sports, but this is where at least there is an opportunity for different winners. There is an opportunity for fans to get excited about the possibility they might win something, might be successful. And that to me is the way the Premier League should try to go. I don't know how you'd address it. It'll never go back to how it was, of course. And there was always clubs who had a little bit more money and all that, but that's the way it should. They should be trying to create a fairer competition, and I think this is where the independent regulator needs to come in, because right now it's only interested. The Premier League's only interested in the brand. It's not interested in competition, is it? They just want the teams who bring them the most revenue. Telly are only interested in the one who has the most subscriptions, which are Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, those kind of teams. And that's just the way it is, isn't it? And you'd have to try to readdress that balance a little bit so that people do have hope, and you hope that you can build.
The other side of it as well is like, you know, you've got to look at a football club and say, you know, if you look at owners when they come in, and you understand what they own of the club, and you know, you get it to a situation where you're like, well, these won't just collapse. These are a Premier League football club. They're not just going to collapse if this fella walks away. You know, that's part of it as well. You know, you've got Chelsea didn't just collapse because Abramovich left. It didn't just collapse. The next fella put more money into it. And what's crazy is you've got a situation where you've got like Manchester United, who are the richest club in the world, and yet most of their money's been siphoned away by two owners. Like, it's literally been siphoned off. And that's why a lot of Man United fans hate the Glazers, is because they've literally siphoned off their money because they earn that much money out of a football club. And that's where it becomes even more perverse. And listen, there'll be a lot of people who could listen to this and say, well, if you got your house in order and did it right. Yeah,
but you wouldn't. Even getting the house in order, it'd be sound. But it's not going to change anything. No, but
to get your house in order, sometimes you will make mistakes. And listen, none of us who are sitting here, or most of the people who are watching this or listening to this who are Everton fans, they know what's gone on in the last 7 years, 8 years. They know the state of our football club, the way it's being run. But that's what makes it even worse. That's what makes it doubly worse, because as a fan, you're being punished again. You're being punished by the ineptness that's being punished by where we are in the league and what we've watched and the dross that we've gone through. To being punished again for, like, literally that ineptness being put in black and white on a piece of paper. And it's just crazy. And I don't know whether it's like, you know, PR spin. But now the idea of being punished because we're trying to build a stadium it's just absolute. Like, I don't understand, and I don't understand how a stadium goes anywhere near, like, anything to do with the stadium being anything to do with your FFP. I honestly have no idea, and I know this is to do with like interest rather than the interest on the loan. But it's just. To me, your stadium should be completely separate. It's something. It's a positive thing for your football club. It brings the football club into the 21st century. It's another example for the Premier League of, wow, look at these facilities we've got. Like the Premier League. So what was the last brand new stadium? Spurs. And what was the one before? So what was the one before that?
Was it Arsenal?
Or City?
City have had all. Yeah, City 2008 won it.
I'm sure someone will tell us it was different.
No, hang on. Look, City went in like 2003. Thought it was Arsenal. The Emirates was 2006. West Ham, yeah. The London Stadium.
Yeah. So every time, and there'll be others. So every time you get that new stadium, in the Premier League get those facilities, it's another thing the Premier League can point at and say, wow, look at this. You know, the stadium's going to be used in the Euros, you know, in just over 4 years' time. It's going to be used in the Euros. It's another example of football moving on in this country, the best facilities. You know, you could have England games there, you could have the Europa League final. It's just another thing. And yet, we're being punished for it. And yeah, I mean, City rent theirs, West Ham rent theirs. We are building, like, Daniel Levy did a podcast and he was talking about the stadium build, and he was like, he said he didn't actually say after Everton, but he just went, no one's going to be building a new stadium in this country anytime soon. He said they're so complicated and they're so expensive. Yeah. Look at Chelsea. Look at all the stuff Chelsea, you know, Abramovich tried and failed because it's some of the most expensive land in the country. You know, it's you know, okay, James said Luton. Yeah, Luton will be 4 sides. It'll be like Salford's. You know, this is, yeah, Brentford. Yeah, there you go. I knew there'd be another one.
The GQ.
Yeah, knew there'd be another one.
Yeah, but that was done in.
No, I'm happy for people to tell us when. Rather, the point being is that these are huge. These are billion. This is not just about a stadium getting built. This is about. Just think of how much money has to go through the hands of like lawyers and stuff to get this thing off the ground. We've done that, and yet we are being punished for it. And again, I'm not sitting here going, oh, we've done nothing wrong. I'm just saying, it's like, that thing is down there. It's getting built. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. It's going to be for the Premier League. The Premier League going to be able to go. It'll be in all the cutaways and all that, and on Sky, and it's going to be an absolutely magnificent arena. And yet, you're saying we shouldn't have built it, or this was the wrong time to build it, or do you know? It's mad.
We'd already committed to it, though.
It's mad.
And everything else went on, but I don't know.
We could have done the cheap option. We could have gone and built a stadium on the edges of the city. We could have done the cheaper option and gone to outside the city. We could have shared a car park with Asda or Sainsbury's or Tesco. We didn't. We went to an area of the city which is run down, needed some life put into it, and yet at the same time is distinctive and historical. I mean, we literally had to remove an historical order on it to get it built. It's
crazy.
I don't know what they want.
It's absolutely crazy. Key B says one factor outsiders don't mention is that the PSR goalposts were moved 3.5 years into a 3-year cycle. How can 3 years' work be scrutinised over rules younger than the period under review? I don't know, mate. Honestly, don't know. Ian says, honestly, the amount of people that are giddy with excitement that this has happened to us is awful. They're all from best stadium in the championship to other stuff. They believe the media hype. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Glenn says, wage cap or no wage cap, don't forget to tap the like button. Don't forget to subscribe here and to More Than a Game, which is in the comments. Come subscribe now and come back. Where are we here? Rod says, have you seen the Spurs thing regarding the dodgy agents from 2008 that could have led to a points deduction in the Times? Yeah. It's just, listen.
There's so much corruption in football. And yet, there's so much that gets swept under the carpet. There's so much for so long where the Premier League have gone, don't want that to come out because that's bad for the brand. There's loads of it. And then suddenly, you know, the money becomes so much that people start looking and going, I think you need to get your house in order. We'll put it in order for you if you don't do it. And then suddenly it's, we've got, you know, let's do this and do that. It's mad. Dad says, do you really seriously think these bitter clubs can sue us? My missus is a lawyer, barrister for criminal fraud. She's not asked, but said no chance. No, they can apply for compensation through the commission. That's their only That's their only way, and they've got to prove. They had 28 days from Friday, but they've got to prove. They can't just rock up and go, you owe us this much. They've got to prove what Everton's case has done to them effectively. So that's what they've got, basically. So
Sheepish Kenobi says Baz blasted Mrs. Werewolf again this morning. Made them watch like the cook he is.
I mean,
fair play.
Didn't have to read that out.
Well, I just felt like it needed reading out because he is a weirdo. No, Sheepish, the werewolf.
Yeah, the werewolf is.
He's a weirdo. Peter Beryl says, with all the uproar about 10 points, you think referees have been given a mandate to make it difficult to get points? Don't forget VAR is corrupt. I don't know, mate. And every decision now will be examined by everybody, and Everton, I hope, start calling it out now. Everything. I hope Sean Dyche doesn't mince his words. I want to see him up on a couple of FA charges for saying things about decisions and saying that you'd have to look, put it out there. You'd have to, makes you wonder, have the Premier League got an agenda? Put it out there.
Yeah.
Put it out there. Make it difficult for them to be able to do that. All eyes are on it. Everyone, if that isn't there a petition for the independent regulator? I think there is. If you see it, sign it and pass it on and get other people to sign it. We've obviously got the thing that went into the House of Parliament yesterday from Ian Byrne, calling for everything to be suspended because it's excessive. We've had one today that Steve Rotherham has done. Steve Rotherham said, I'll never be accused of being an Evertonian, people who know me, because he is, of course, a Liverpool fan, but he said, this is just ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And most fair-minded Reds have said the same. Obviously, you've got the bitter ones and the ones who think it's funny, but it's just fine. It's football, isn't it? But it is what it is, isn't it? Also,
there was Ian Byrne, obviously, done an early day motion, didn't he? But apparently only 6. There are 17 Liverpool City region MPs, and currently only 6 have signed that. So they're a big gang of shit asses as well. They don't sign that.
Probably.
So they need to. But they're probably lunching somewhere. So yeah, they need to sort that out, because again, we need this pushed, and we need to make as much noise as we can to make sure this doesn't just go away and fall down. The crack of the couch. This needs to be everywhere. I think what Steve Rotherham said was on the back of a few of the papers today. There has to be political pressure pushed on these people as well.
No, it does. These clowns at the Premier League need to be taken down a few notches. They've decided they're the stars of this whole thing, and all that matters is money, and them making money, like Richard Masters making money. Because if
there is enough noise, and they feel like they're on the wrong side of this, in the appeal, for all we know, they might. I can't see it, but for all we know, they might say, let's remove the points option and just go with a huge fine. That's for all we know.
Seen yesterday, they were talking about a fine and a transfer ban. Getting rid of the thing.
Who knows?
Transfer ban will probably be worse.
I'm not, massively. I'm not. Can't say one. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, that's probably what's going to happen. Who knows what'll happen? But the more pressure that gets put on them, political, outside media, journalists, ex-players, everyone keeps talking about this and keeping it, and that's why Sunday's so important, to show the world, not just this country, the world, how we feel about it, and get people on our side and go, this is not on at all,
because it's for everyone, isn't it? It's for everybody, really. Everton have been done for trying to better themselves, so to speak. And listen, they've breached it, so they should be punished. But to treat it like it's the worst thing that has ever happened in Premier League history, because that's the punishment that says it is absolute nonsense. It's nonsense. And that's where we are, and that's why we're so upset, because it is, like we've said, we aren't sitting here going, Everton are innocent and this is a disgrace. No, we're not saying that at all. Benny says, what effect is all this uncertainty having on the 777 deal? I suppose the full extent of compensation claims is known within 28 days. The thing about it is, honestly, those claims will amount to nothing. Certainly not what the werewolf put down. If it's anything, it might add up to like 30 million or something, whatever. And then Evan just say, listen, I'll give you $1 million over 30 years, see you later, because we're still paying it. But it's how do you actually quantify, like you said before, how do you quantify any of that? Oh, they cheated. If Everton had been doing what Chelsea have admitted to, which is bouncing money all over the gaff and getting these players in and giving agents the big money to make sure they take players out of negotiating rooms with other clubs and come to them and all this, and that's what's all being out there. That's not speculation, that is out there. The Premier League know this, yet Chelsea still haven't been put before an inquiry. It's mad. But that is gaining sporting advantage, and the evidence is there that they gain sporting advantage. 5 Premier Leagues and FA Cups and Europa Leagues and Champions Leagues and stuff. There's nothing here. There's one charge. 19.5 million over. So yeah, by all means give Everton a punishment. But it's not the worst thing that has ever happened in the Premier League. And that is what the Premier League have done. And they've done it, as a lot of MPs are now stating, they've done it because it's a show trial. They've done it to try to flex the muscles and go, look, we can police ourselves, because they don't. The last thing they want is someone coming in and going through their dirty laundry, which tells you how they're doing whatever they're doing with the money and all the little bonuses and everything else that goes on there, and who's getting awarded what this week in the games and everything else that goes on. They want to just police that themselves. They want all of that themselves. Don't want the government coming in. So this is it's literally a show trial.
Yeah, it is.
And that's the way it is. Everton fan 123 says, Baz and Ped, where would you say is a good position to finish this season? All I want is progress from 17. Everton, in my opinion, even if they didn't have the 10, even if the 10 points weren't reduced, will still finish, in my opinion, between 11 and 14th. That's where I thought they'd finish anyway. At one stage last week, it was looking like they might finish top 10. Who knows? But I still feel like Everton will be safe in about March, early April. I just think they're better than 4 or 5 teams down there. Got to get results, of course, and it doesn't always play out like that. So that's where I think. But we'll just have to see. We'll have to see, won't we? I still believe that this will be reduced. I don't see a world where all of the points are given back. I just don't. Even if it ended up with 3 points, I think that would be the minimum we would get, would be 3 points now, because they've set their precedent. But I think we'll end up with about 5 or 6 points. And then you'd have to go from there then, don't you? Trevor Longmore 1 says, is it true Everton were warned numerous times by the Premier League but continue to spend regardless? No. But where did they continue to spend though, regardless? They continue to build the ground. Of course they did, because you can't just stop building something like that, can you? They spent money that they brought in because they had to. The Premier League, see, this is all on the Premier League as far as I'm concerned, because I said this yesterday, I don't understand why the Premier League said they'd work with us anyway. The Premier League should have just been harsh with Everton straight away and gone, you're over it, this is the punishment for it. Or gone, said to Everton, right, 2021 season or whatever, gone to Everton and said, right lads, we've noticed this in your books. We are putting in a rule this summer that is in black and white. If you fail it again next summer, you lose 3 points or 6 points. It should have been that. Not all this, oh yeah, cozy up to us and we'll tell you who you can buy and who you can't and all of this stuff. And then turn around and then just go, right, we're still going to shop you because we need to demonstrate to someone. Numerous rulings is nonsense. They were warned many times. No, they weren't. It's just bollocks from journalists who know fucking less than my dead nan. So, it's pathetic. Andy says 1.1 thousand watching, only 264 likes. Well, if you haven't liked it, basically you're a fan of the Premier League and you agree that every Everton's punishment should be made worse. That's the way I look at it. It's the proper formula.
Can't argue with that.
It's the formula that equates. So we'll see in a minute. We'll see in a minute how much are real Everton fans and how much agree with the Premier League. That's not me. That's just science. That's the formula.
There's a little bit of logistics in there as well.
That's it. It's just an algorithm. I don't make the algorithm. You know, don't hate the player, hate the game. That's all I'm saying.
Hate the algorithm.
Or hate the algorithm. That's all I'm saying. And obviously the caveat to that with the star is if you haven't subscribed to More Than a Game, then who even are you? And there's the link in the description. It's that easy to just go subscribe and be back in 1 second. But that's on you. That's up to you. Kane says, thoughts on the club always pushing out positive narratives. What always results in lies. When the breach was announced, they said they were confident they didn't do anything wrong, but since being guilty, admitted to mistakes. This is one of a long list of lies get pushed out by the club. And let's not forget, poor leadership has got us in this position. However, the punishment is a disgrace. Well, we haven't forgotten poor leadership ultimately has put Everton where it has, but like you say, the punishment is a disgrace. I guess Everton thought, well, Everton have shown you what they thought their defence was. Whether you know, you look at it now and go, I'm not convinced about that, and I'm not convinced about that, which is fine, but they will have believed their defence was strong enough for them to get off or have a lighter punishment, wouldn't he? Don't know. Matt Seddon says, what a fantastic fan base we have when we're all pulling in the same direction. And Garrett says, felt very old today when I read that Joe Royle's first game in charge was 29 years ago today. Big Dunk's first goal. It's terrifying, isn't it? James says, if these clubs think they'd have a claim against us, would Everton's defence be, we broke the rules on the 1st of April? Then you'd have to look at the rules from then. The rules are so vague and nothing saying you'd get done in the same Premier League season. If I was Everton, I'd put the blame back on the Premier League, showing how unfit they are to govern their own rules. Well, yeah, that's what I've just said. The Premier League are at fault. All of this of, they should have just said, lads, we're making the rule now, and you're close to it. And when we put this rule in, if in 12 months' time this is the same, you have got a 6-point deduction. That's what they should have done. Brad says, afternoon, gents, it just seems to me that football authorities have an agenda against us. When something has happened, we always seem to have been involved in some way, like going back to the European ban for English teams, UEFA not wanting 5 English teams in Champions League, and then Everton suffered with getting Uncle Fester out of retirement to knock us out. The diving ban, and ever since we went after them over VAR decisions, they've always used that as a weapon against us, and now this. Brian says, I hope Dyche and the players are honest in their dealings with the media ahead of the United game. They must feel robbed as they've done nothing wrong. They earned the 14 points only to have them taken off them. I hope they air their grievances and highlight how much of a sporting punishment is an injustice. James wants me holding the corruption banner up for when the players are there doing the handshake. I'm not sure Everton will be able to allow me to stand there holding the corruption banner up. It feels as though they'd be condoning it, and I don't think they're allowed to do it. Harry says, hey guys, did you see the stuff about them supposedly sanctioning us twice for the same breaches? Corrupt set of bees. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that is. I think it's just how it works, isn't it?
Because it's rolling.
It's because it's rolling, so one will go, but then you'll still... But the thing about it is, there's no chance... there's no chance that this the Premier League would want this to happen again next year. No chance. Adam says... apologies if you discussed this yesterday, but did you hear what Simon Jordan said yesterday about our case for the defence being quite poor? Apparently we were saying things like we had to spend big because we had a non-existent midfield. Well, we did though. I'm not saying that's a good defence, by the way, because you're budgeting for 6th and all that, but the reality is, and you said it yesterday, you've got to survive. If you haven't got players, you've got to try to buy players to compete at least, haven't you? I mean, we bought a midfield and still needed the last day of the season to stay up. So imagine if we didn't buy any midfielders.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to what you said before, Ped. It's all bollocks. They want you to... This thing's being put in to try to make their product better and protect clubs, but you're actually saying, no, you can't spend any money. You shouldn't be trying to compete. Like Jonathan Norcroft's thing the other day. They continue to splurge money. Go and do the sums, mate. Forget about who you're employed by, what area you're in now and who you're affiliated with. Go and just do the sums and go, oh, fuck, yeah, Everton actually haven't spent any money. They're there from bottom in the net spend for the last 5 years. And they've even got less net spend than a couple of teams that were relegated, Leicester City, for one. So, do the proper sums. Everton had one stupid summer, which was great. And it'd have been great if that was the only one, and then we'd have tried to maintain stuff. We made terrible signings, which meant we couldn't recoup money. We tried to work it back. The other stupid thing they did, John said it yesterday, we delayed the stadium by a year so that they could try to do everything with all these bleeding surveys that probably cost 2 or 3 million quid in the end that didn't need to be done. But Everton's crime is built, well, it's not the only thing because they failed it, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but Everton put themselves in a difficult position because A, they built the stadium themselves instead of getting a big loan. Yeah. B, they decided to build a stadium and then a global pandemic hit. And on top of that, whether you agree or disagree, Everton had a big sponsorship deal with a big chunk of money and a huge promise of big funds coming in for naming rights, which would have paid for the stadium, and that happened to them. That isn't me going, so they've done nothing wrong, because they have, and they run pathetically as well.
There's other things as well, like these are football things. Cenk Tosun went on loan to Crystal Palace and done an ACL.
When they'd had a £20 million move agreed.
You know what I mean? It's like things like that, things like that are like, they're out of the control of the football club, and the lad has ended up just... And then he got another ACL, and he's basically ended up rehabbing the last 2.5 years of his Everton career, or whatever.
And taking 85 grand a week.
and it's stuff like that. How can a football club be in control of those situations? You've sent Andre Gomez to Lille on loan, and you think you're trying to do a deal so his last year is you sell him or whatever. Gabaman comes in and gets 2 really, really bad injuries.
That's
never the
basically.
same player. Finishes him, now playing in the French second division. How can a football club account for that? And then you have to replace that player then.
Well, the Gylfi Sigurdsson thing is a big one, whether people like it or not. And I don't expect people to go, oh, well, we're having loads of sympathy for you. But I get it, right? But Gylfi Sigurdsson, there was an inquiry about him 4 days, the Monday, so the Friday. So 4 days before that happened, there was an inquiry about him worth £9.5 million that Everton were considering, because obviously the money and his wages and all that. And yet, 4 days later, that was moot. It was moot because he was arrested.
Yeah.
So it was gone. So not only did we lose that £9.5 million, but obviously we had to keep paying him for a bit, and I know Everton eventually got rid of him. But that was an asset that went out. Yeah. It went out.
How can football clubs control these situations? You can't control those situations. And when you lose a player, whether it be through injury or whether it be through something else, you have to replace that player. So you have to sign players. You have to, don't you? Do you know what I mean? It's impossible. You have to sign players. If you've lost players, it's not your fault.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because, listen, it's easy when you're a fan of someone else, right? That's fine. You'd look and go, well, you've done this and you should be punished. I don't think there's many Evertonians that you'd find that would say we're totally innocent, because we're not. We can make mitigation for it, and I can say, look, these aren't circumstances that would normally happen in a normal Premier League season. You wouldn't build a new stadium, would you? Just like it's been 140 years since we built the last one, so it's not something we're in the habit of doing every season. A global pandemic once in every 100 years, Oh, that also happens. And a bleeding war when, okay, again, I keep saying it. Us as Evertonians weren't made up with our sponsors, where they were from, were we?
No.
But that was the way it was. It was a big deal to the football club. And that war meant those assets got frozen, which meant Everton had to break off any relationships and remove all the stuff from USM, from Megaphone, and a 200 and I think the thing was worth £240 million naming rights thing for whatever it was. These are real events. It's not just the club making it up, they're real. So again, I'm not saying Everton are innocent because I think we both said it many times. The club put themselves in a stupid position by being ran terribly, and the people who were frigging going, oh no, this will be okay. And like you said, even if those people were there going to the owner, Mr. Mashiri, this we can't do that because we're just heading on this path. And if he was going, no, it's okay, keep doing it. Because there was a bit of defiance. No, we're going to fight it. Because Everton were told, and Sasha Ryantsev, who was on Everton's board at the time, had reported this back, that FFP PSR was changing anyway. Yeah. So Everton were confident there was going to be more leeway put into it, into the thing that you were going to be able to spend more money if an owner, it was either a gift from an owner was going up or whatever. And Everton were covered in that, right? But that didn't happen. But those people should have then had the balls to go, we're getting out. Because I keep telling you that this is heading one way and you continue to overrule me. What is the point of me being here? Yeah. And I ain't having my name on something that cost this football club. And they didn't. So no one's excusing them. There's another thing here as well, which was said yesterday. It wasn't pointed out by us, but a few people actually pointed out. The thing with the 105 million, if it's inflation, if you're doing it on inflation, it should be more around the 140 million because everything's gone up. The cost of everything has gone up, and yet you're still set at that. Now, okay, I don't put that as a full argument and go, this is wrong, because people would turn around, like I said yesterday, it still allows you to lose 35 million a year over a 3-year period. That's fucking scary. 35 million a year. On a bedsheet. You know what I mean? So Everton haven't been run correctly. There's and Everton, in my opinion, do deserve a punishment. They do, but they do not deserve 10 points. No. It's just crazy. I'd be a bit pissed off with 3 points, to be honest, because I think sanction us financially or make us reduce our squad. Give us a suspended sentence on points and go for 3 years, because that's a reporting period.
What if the punishment was?
Red ass.
We have to bring Rondon back
as the captain.
Have to play every game.
Oh, I don't know. I think I'd take the 10 points. Red ass.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Grant Ingles in the Gladys Street. You just got to go full red ass on him, whacking the ball. Or fans, we go in and we draw a raffle when we go in, and then it's selected at half time. You've got to go out and you've got to get full red ass. 5 of you in the goal. Someone blasts it at you from like 2 yards. Richard Masters. Yeah. They're all viable options. Yeah. I mean, I've just made them up in very similar way the Commission made up our punishments and the Premier League. Bradley, who's a Tottenham fan, says, I hope everyone backs Everton in this. The media are loving this. What do you take? We're going to finish in a minute, but what do you take when people said, well, this is just getting the Commission ready to take on Man City, and this is we've drawn a line, and you're getting hammered here, Chelsea and City, and this is just the breadcrumbs to a huge case.
Well, that is though. That is.
But what do you think? Because what do you seriously, in your heart of hearts, believe will happen to Chelsea and Man City?
I think Chelsea will actually get a worse. It'll end up worse than City's.
Do you?
Because
to be fair, what they said probably
City's is a very, very different, complicated case. There's a lot of. It's not necessarily about the same as what ours is about and what Chelsea's about. So, but I don't know. It's. I don't. City could just have them side up for a very long time. Because if City take the Premier League to court, because they have been in the High Court, and then keep pushing it to higher authorities before it even gets to this, then they can keep them tied up for years, because that's what City are effectively doing. City don't believe the Premier League have got the right to do this. So instead of going to the commission and saying, right, this is our evidence, they've gone, no, we're going to have a separate trial of our own first, and we're going to prove that none of this should go to a commission, and I think that's what's holding it up, and that could take God knows how long, because if City just keep on keeping it tied up, which they will, they'll never get their day in front of the commission. It'll never happen.
Yeah,
because what'll happen by then is probably a regulator will come in, or they'll change the rules on no points, and City will probably have to end up paying some kind of mad
financial
fine
won't be a
that
thing.
It won't matter to them.
Or Chelsea, will it?
Yeah, that it won't matter to them. So
I think most people believe nothing will happen to either club. I think most people just go, they'll just pay it off.
And that's the point, isn't it? And that's why, again, why it's the position we're in. It's like you're getting everybody preempting that Manchester City and Chelsea are going to get all kinds of grief. To me, I just can't see it happening. I really can't. I think I can see them making loads of noise. Well, there is loads of noise off the back of the Everton case, which is important. And again, I don't care if people watch this from other clubs and go, the state to use or this. Or, couldn't care less. This is my football club, and I'll fight all fucking day for it. I have done for a very long time.
Absolutely.
A lot, we all have. I'll fight all day for it. I couldn't care less what anyone else thinks of me. I've never, as you might be aware, I generally don't care less what people think about me. So we will fight, but
we'll be fighting with all our might.
We're on the beaches. My worry is straight to Rainsdale. My worry is that we make all this noise. It doesn't actually change our case, but it changes the future cases. That's what worries me.
That's probably it. Again, though, no one would be surprised with that, are they? Ian says, I am new. I've liked and subscribed. Guys, good luck with your channel. Ian is a Darlington fan. Ian,
thanks.
I went to find Darlington Stadium.
I went to find Darlington.
No, I went to find Darlington Stadium last August when I was we went up to Yorkshire. We went to all of the stadiums. I ended up at the rugby stadium where I believe you used to play.
That's foolish.
Well, it was you sat nav. It's like, where is it now? Know what I mean? But I've seen all the others.
You're blaming technology.
I'm blaming technology. I'm blaming Ian for not getting in touch with me first last summer and telling me where it was. But that's just the way it is. Paul G says this pity party is crazy. I don't know what he means by that, but there you go.
This crazy that you just use a G as your second name. But that's up to you.
Yeah, he said it all. Ian says
the last person who just had a G was Dario, and look what happened to him.
There you go. Guys, I'm a Darlington fan again for me. We were made bankrupt in 2011, reformed in 2012, demoted 4 leagues, but we're currently part-time fan-owned National League North club. We have 3 promotions to date. Yes, that was that mad owner, wasn't it, who built a 25,000-seater stadium, and then Darlington fans were like, I'm not convinced we need a 25,000, and then he was just a bit mad. That was a crazy story, that one. But good luck, Ian. Hopefully get back into the league. Definitely. Make sure you subscribe to More Than a Game as well, Ian. Thank you very much. You top man. I mean, Jeff's saying we don't deserve any points deduction.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah. Ian also says, I can remember Jordan Pickford making his first league debut for Darlington FC back in the days when he was on loan from Sunderland. Yeah. Paul Greeny says, as a fan, I'm struggling to get to grips with the amount of punishment. It's bad. And we fight our way out of those points deductions. Take care, boys. Marty says, has Ped lost weight? Plus, if it's yes, is it through his running or his Everton stress?
It's not Everton stress.
Just running.
Just a machine.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a machine, but there you go. Physical running, isn't it?
Physical running.
That's what it is.
As opposed to...
Well, Ned sitting there going, I go running. Well, Ned would say he runs. He plays running football, but we all know it's walking football.
No, it's definitely walking football.
Know what I mean? But there you go. Like, I want to put that back in the chat. There it is, Ian.
Never mind.
There's the link to the channel that you need to subscribe now. Right, at 2:30, we will be on More Than a Game. So you've got 10 minutes to get yourselves a cuppa. The link.
There isn't a link.
There isn't a link today. So there's the link there. I've literally put it. I'll do it again right now. Literally just click on that at 2:30 and join us and have your say. We'll discuss this a little bit more, but a few other things that have gone around as well. So take it easy and we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon. We'll see you soon. What the fuck has gone on here, pal, by the way?
Talking too long.
I have. See you in a bit. Bye.